Just a couple bad weather fans representing New York, talking all things sports. Man, what could go wrong? We got Alex, who's a fan of the Knicks, and Mike of the Nets. The yin-yang of the tri-state, place your bets on the Yankees, Giants, Mets, or Jets. Yeah, you should listen if they're sparking your interest. If you made a vow to your team, don't break it. Bad weather fans is the relation.
That's right. This is Bad Weather Fans, episode 133, and it might be our first ever emergency podcast. Mike Biseglia, Alex Benezowitz. Donovan Mitchell saga is over. He's been traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers. You all know that by now. If you're listening to this podcast and you just found that out, I'd be stunned about that. But here we are. Let me then recap the trade as this was first reported by Woj, but here's from Shams Charania saying, sources, the Cleveland Cavaliers are trading Colin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen. I apologize for not knowing this guy's name, but Ochai Agbaje, 3 first-round picks, and 2 pick swaps to the Utah Jazz for Donovan Mitchell. Alex, how are you?
Not so great, man. Not so great. The New York Knicks botched this, man. And I am fuming. So that was 3 picks and 2 protected, right? So 2 protected or 2 swaps, right? Something like that.
3 picks and the swaps. 3 picks, 2 swaps.
And the swaps. So the Knicks could have offered the 4 that I've been saying from the beginning, 4 unprotected and 2 protected or 2 swaps, whatever you want to do with those 2 extras. And maybe not included RJ Barrett, maybe traded all 3 of those young guys that we talked about, Grimes, Obi, and Quickly, and got it done. You know, could that have happened? I think it could have, because then the Cavs didn't trade 4 unprotected picks. And don't give me the crap that the swaps are just like unprotected picks, because they're not. Okay, they're not. All right, because if the Cavs are good in a couple of years, those picks aren't going to make a difference. They're still going to have the pick to take a player. Okay, and then we'll trade it for Bargnani. You know what I'm saying? This is just the Donovan Mitchell trade was there for the Knicks taking. They botched this. They took too long. Everybody was telling me to relax. It's not going to matter. We're the only team that's here in it. Who else is he trading him for? Go find the other guy then, Ainge. Go find the other guy. Well, guess what? He found the other guy. He found him. And it didn't take that long because nobody was even negotiating for a freaking month. So you negotiated for like a week right after the draft day trades, and the Knicks got Brunson. And then all of a sudden, July 1st, Donovan Mitchell, the Jazz are retooling around Donovan Mitchell, Woj said. Oh, fast forward to the draft. And guess what? Oh, now he's on the table right after the Knicks got all these picks, all these protected picks, because Ainge was like, all right, well, maybe they're in business. And Leon Rose botched this from the start. He thought he was acting from a position of power. And guess what? He was not. He dared Ainge to find another guy, and he did. So now what are the Knicks, Mike? Are they rebuilding or are they going for it? They're keeping Tibbs. He's 64 years old. They got Julius Randle. They got Obi on the bench. They got Quickly on the bench. They got Grimes on the bench. Don't tell me Fournier and Randle aren't starting. They are starting. So what the hell is this team right now? If Julius Randle is not traded by next week, I won't say this weekend. It's holiday weekend. NBA trades don't happen that fast. But if Julius Randle's not traded next week or 2 before training camp, what the hell are we doing here? What is this Knicks team? Oh, you got draft picks. Thank God we can draft a kid who's a sophomore in high school. Thank God. Maybe he'll be good 3 years after he's picked. So in 8 years, we might get a good player. But you know what? You could have got Donovan Mitchell. I tried to warn you. Richard Jefferson on this podcast tried to warn you, said, guys, other teams will come involved. When I asked that question, yes, other teams are definitely going to get involved. The Cavs got involved. We brushed it off as nothing, especially when they said they rejected the trade. Knicks weren't serious. They even offered RJ Barrett. I never wanted that. And couldn't get it done because they didn't want to give more picks. That's the bottom line. And I am fuming right now. And I'm so angry right now that I wanted to fire almost wanted to fire everybody at the trade deadline when they didn't trade Alec Burks or do anything at the deadline, and they brought Tibbs back. But then all of a sudden Tibbs was letting Sims come in, et cetera, et cetera. But then you're like, all right, well, we're stuck with Tibbs. Well, oh my God, DeJounte Murray's available. Let's go get him. Nah, we're involved. And the Spurs like, no, dude, you never called. What are you talking about? You guys never called us. Don't lie. Pop's not going to let you lie on his behalf. You guys never called. And then it was, Jaden Ivey at the draft. Let's get Jaden Ivey. No, we got to get Leon Rose's nephew. We have to get the 15th best point guard in the NBA. We have to get him. Trade a punt on the lottery, whatever. Now we got these extra picks. Oh, Donovan Mitchell's available now. Well, you know what? We got to save these picks. We really love Grimes. He's crushing it in the summer league. Dude, you're not this master negotiator. Danny Ainge ran circles around Leon Rose. And I'm sorry for doubting Danny Ainge. I apologize to you. I doubted him from the beginning. I said, who is this guy? Why are we anointing him? He's won one championship in how many years? But guess what? He just schooled Leon Rose. Schooled him. I don't even know what to say. All this Knicks for click stuff now, totally deserved. I'm so disgusted, Mike. Disgusted. I don't even know where to go from here.
I was stunned when I saw the news. I think it kind of surprised a lot of people. For me, I kind of laugh at the whole thing because there's a lot of Knicks fans going around saying that this is okay. We dodged a bullet here. We're in a better position now because we have all of these young players. And there really is a delusion with some Knicks fans on the level of talent that they have internally,
right?
And not understanding how good Donovan Mitchell is. I think Emmanuel Quickley is a nice player. I think Obi Toppin might be good if he gets some minutes. I'm not going to disagree with any of that. But this idea now to bring down who Donovan Mitchell is absurd. It's really absurd. And we're getting into the minutia of, well, it's giving up all these picks.
Fuck the picks, man.
I'm surprised by that because I think back to like people then saying, well, I don't trust this management, what they're doing, but then you invest in the picks for what they have. And I also think as Richard Jefferson alluded to on this podcast as well, like you bring in Donovan Mitchell, you start to change the vibe around the Knicks where other star players start to think that they can come here and would want to be here. And to me, I think that's the biggest component that Knicks fans are missing. And it's PSD from everything that happened with Carmelo Anthony, where you're thinking to yourself, yeah, we're just going to be a 4 or 5 seed and that's where we'll end.
It's a different situation.
But here, and I can't believe I'll defend the Knicks. Why the fuck does that? You're the 4 or 5 seed and it's over. Why can't you be better?
Exactly.
Why can't you end up being a better team? Why can't you end up signing more free agents and go from a 4 seed to a 3 seed to a 1 seed? Or why is that your cap? Like that's the end all be all. Oh, if they get Donovan Mitchell, they can only be a 4 seed. How do you know that? That's not true. It's the first step in a process of becoming a great franchise again, as opposed to doing the other thing where it's all right. Let's see what we have. Let's see what we have here. I don't want to rush into things. Like I'll tell you this, and this is reality around the league. Nobody thinks Obi Toppin's a star. No, people think Emmanuel Quickley is a nice role player.
Lou Williams type. Everybody likes him. He's respected
like
for sure.
This idea,
but he's not that great. Yes, exactly. And I love Quickley.
It's craziness. Yeah. It's craziness. And the last part of it too, this is the part that's the icing on the cake for me. Last week, the Cavs are fine. They're just. I think the Knicks are going to be better than the Cavs. There's so many people say this is last week. A lot of Knicks fans saying, I think the Knicks are better than the Cavs.
They're not.
Well,
they weren't.
No. But here's the best part of this whole thing. Then the same group of people are now saying, I understand the Cavs making that move. They're in a win now mentality. So you're telling me on one hand that the Knicks have more talent, but then on the same time that the Cavs make that trade and all of a sudden they're in the driver's seat to like. That's because they had more talent to begin with, and they just gave up all the same crap. Like it's all the same crap of, maybe Colin Sexton turns into something in a couple of years, and but that to Ainge, that was just part of it. Like
Sexton's coming off a major knee injury. Lauri Markkanen sucks now, and this other guy, I never heard of him. So that means that if neither you or I or NBA freaks never heard of the guy, he's probably not that good. Maybe he'll be good in a couple of years, be a rotation player. Who knows? But they gave up nothing regarding players. Sexton is the thing with the high ceiling. Sure. But do you think Sexton has that much more value than Emmanuel Quickley? I mean, come on. You know what I'm saying? And it's just out of control where it's like, so they say the final offer from the Knicks that this is what they say was that the Knicks declined, that the Jazz final counter offer for the Knicks was to land Donovan Mitchell this is according to Shams. RJ, Emmanuel Quickley, 3 unprotected picks, multiple pick swaps, plus potentially another young player, which is probably McBride is my guess. and the Knicks declined. So you weren't willing to go to 4 unprotected picks. You never were. And if you did, and the 2 protected, like I've been saying from the start, you might not have to include RJ Barrett. You give up the 3 young kids, Obi, Grimes, and Quickly, give up 4 unprotected, 2 protected, give them another pick swap, and let's get the shit done. But they didn't do it. They're not a Donovan Mitchell away from a championship, Mike. That's the thing that everybody keeps saying now. The Knicks weren't a Donovan Mitchell away from a championship. Guess what? They're not even close now.
Well, that's the part that's kind of the wild.
Gets you a step closer, right?
Why does it closer? Right, because there's all this value in the draft pick. So the Knick fan to me is more invested in Leon Rose's projected picks in 3, 4, 5 years down the road than they think they have with Donovan Mitchell, and they think that's the better way to get a championship. I will disagree with that. I will Me too.
And I'm going to be rooting for the Knicks.
Of course you will. Well.
I hope RJ Barrett takes a major step. But guess what? The Knicks don't believe it either because they were trading RJ Barrett for Donovan Mitchell. He was in every deal towards the end.
You know what? You know what it is, Alex? It's like the Knicks were so incompetent for so long that now that their management is doing average, it's celebrated.
Right. The 4 seed.
They're not.
How do you go from the 4 seed to the 13 seed and you're still in charge and you have all this cachet with the fans?
It's not.
We've been saying this.
It's not Phil Jackson. This is not like all of the mess. Like it's not brutal. Right. I'm not saying like it's
not laden,
but because it's average, it's celebrated.
And it's actually insane because think about it from any other team in this area. If you go from, I'll keep saying it, from home field advantage in the playoffs to not even close to the playoffs the next year, you're on the freaking hot seat that what this season would be. But according to Knicks fans, this guy got hurt. We got Jalen Brunson. Oh, this draft stunk anyway. Give Tibbs another chance. Give him till the All-Star break. What are you talking about? This is all a bunch of bullshit. It's all about Leon Rose's relationship with Julius Randle. The guy loves him. He got him the job. We talked about it. He got him on the Woj pod. I keep bringing it up, and I'll keep bringing it up. Julius Randle got Leon Rose the job. Go back to the Woj pod, to the Julius Randle interview. You'll hear it. And it's coming to fruition. Has one good year, great year, incredible year. I love Julius Randle, right? Almost bought his jersey. Thank God I didn't. And couldn't wait to extend him. You still had one more year on a team option. You couldn't wait to extend him. It's kind of like Steve Francis hitting the game winner, and then you hire Isaiah. You keep Isaiah Thomas. You know what I mean? Because you're the 8th seed for 2 days. You know what I mean? It's kind of backwards Knicks thinking all over again. And yes, I celebrated the Julius Randle contract because I thought he was going to play at the level he did the All NBA year. You know, but you know what? I was wrong. But I also said, if you look up my tweets at Knicks Central, I also said, let's see him do it again and then pay him. I definitely said that. I was happy because I thought they got a deal on his contract, but boy, was I wrong about that.
And he's untradeable.
Untradeable, right? I mean, you can dump him. You can dump anybody. You really can.
Right. I mean, the Westbrook thing maybe opens a door.
Right. And then buy out Westbrook.
That's the circumstance. But it's not as easy. It's not that easy to make that trade because, and I mean this, like the stuff that he did, Kevin Durant was a disaster in so many ways, but he can get away with it because of how good he is, even though he shouldn't. But it's just the reality of the situation. Julius Randle does the same stuff. It just doesn't work the same. Like,
you have one good year.
Welcome.
Exactly.
It's not going to be welcome the same with that track record. And, for the Knicks now, the issue too is like the East is just slammed with talent.
The new West.
I mean, the Cavs, the Hawks, the Nets now back in play per se. The Celtics, the Bucks, the Sixers. I mean, look at that. That Atlantic.
And the Hornets are good. I mean, I know
the
those
Raptors
Bridges,
had 48 wins last year. Look at the Atlantic Division to begin with. You've got the Celtics who went to the NBA Finals, the Raptors who won 48 games. You've got now Joel Embiid, and you would assume a motivated James Harden. The Nets, who have all have been a failure so far, and you would, in my belief, I'm hoping that they're motivated and have all the talent in the world. And then you have
Pistons.
the Knicks.
Look at the Pistons. I mean, they got 2 top picks 2 years in a row. They could be good.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And it's insane. And like, people are like, you're so happy you're right. That's the thing that's driving me crazy. I am not happy that I'm right. I am fuming that I'm right. Do I look happy that I'm right, Mike? Is this happiness?
No.
This is not happiness. This is a sarcastic smile. I'm pissed that I'm right, that the Knicks waited too long and they got cocky and the Jazz found another team and Ainge schooled Leon Rose. I'm pissed that I was right about that.
There is a lot to this that I think is fascinating. Like from the angle of there was a cockiness from the Knicks fan thinking that it was them, nobody else. I think this is the part where even I was a sucker. Even I was a sucker on this.
I came around on the last episode.
This is the part.
Else. Yeah.
This is the part where I was a sucker. I saw Donovan Mitchell at every fucking Mets game. I saw him in Brooklyn at the Cyclones game. We saw him in every situation in New York. And in our heads, we said, this guy wants to be a Knick. Yeah, I know that the Knicks have had a tough time alluring in big free agents, but the difference here is he's a local guy. He loves the Mets. He's doing all this New York
stuff. He gets
stuff.
the market.
And I think there was this disillusion that this was the only team he wanted to go to. I would tell you Donovan Mitchell probably would love have been a Knick and would have embraced it. But I also think he looks at the situation and says, you know what? Cleveland's got a lot of young talent.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. Darius Garland, and he's going, I can come here and we're going to be in the mix as a team in the East that's going to give people fits. It's going to be really good for a long term to come. Like all the core of the Cavs are all babies. And I think there was a disillusionment, and this is from the Knicks fan that just was like, he'll come to the Knicks. This is his team. We can't worry about it. It's the Cavs. Donovan Mitchell doesn't want to be a Cav. And Donovan Mitchell probably said, you know what? That's a solid situation. I'll take it. That's fine. I mean, I'd love to be a Knick, but look at all those young, that talented core. I'll play there. That sounds fun.
And that's exactly what Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant did.
Right.
Exactly what they did. And
I would agree.
As much as I think the injury had a lot to do with it, and I'll still go to my grave thinking that, but at the end of the day, they were like, all right, well, Durant's hurt. In my opinion, this is, Durant's hurt. Kyrie, you pick. Fine. Nets, they look good. Let's go there. You know what I mean? Why do we need to go to the Knicks? It doesn't matter. So it's like, I'm just I don't understand what's next now. That is what I'm thinking about. Like, what is now? Like, what do we do?
Well,
you want me to buy tickets? Oh, fuck out of here, man. Stop emailing me. You crazy? What are we doing? Well, are we a young team or are we rebuild? Are we competing? Because we're in that middle ground in the purgatory where you never want to be. Oh, thank God we have unprotected picks. We'll pick 12th for the next 4 years. Great.
That's the funny angle is Knicks fans saying if you trade for Donovan Mitchell, you'll be in purgatory, not understanding that you're about to enter it.
Thank you. And
right, you're actually in purgatory. But as I alluded to before, because bad has been so bad, purgatory feels different. And there's a this is what'll happen in 2 or 3 years when you're still in purgatory. Then all of a sudden you'll go, shit, we're still here. Now,
right. And the Cavs are in the Eastern Conference Finals every year, and it's crazy because every time there's a big player that comes available, and I tweeted this the other day or yesterday, every time there's a big player that comes available, Knicks fans take a giant shit on them and say, we don't need that guy. DeJounte Murray, he can't shoot and this, and why would Pop want to trade him? Donovan Mitchell, we know the whole story there. DeMar DeRozan, he can't shoot threes anymore. He's washed up or whatever. De'Aaron Fox, oh man, he never wins anything. And what the hell are we doing here? But thank God we had Alec Burks at point guard all last year. Thank God we still have Tibbs all last year. We know what the Cavs just did? They had a Knicks 4 seed type year, and then they went and added an all-star. Like the Knicks should have done last year. They should have went after DeMar DeRozan, but instead they said, let's extend Julius Randle and try to take a flyer on Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier. Instead of being like, let's take the sure thing. They put a Band-Aid on it. They said, let's add some talent around here. Randall's going to be good again. Counting on him and paying him early when they didn't need to, And now it's bizarre because you put RJ Barrett in all these trades and then you extend him. And then Woj drops the bomb of the trade today for Donovan Mitchell. And literally a few minutes later, Knicks PR sends out a tweet saying, we have officially signed RJ Barrett. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Read the damn room. Oh, they did. Let RJ Barrett have his moment. Tweet that out tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? Like, how are you that? Like, do you think we signed RJ Barrett? It's official now. Thank God. Now who cares about Donovan Mitchell? No, you guys tried to trade him. None of this stuff adds up, man. None of it adds up.
They better be right. Knicks fans and Knicks management better be right about Quentin Grimes. They better be right about Obi Toppin.
Stop comparing him to Allen Houston, please.
They got to be. I mean,
can you stop?
If they aren't great players, very good players, I mean, they will regret this forever. I mean, I personally, I was thrilled when I saw the news because I didn't want the Knicks to be fucking good,
Oh,
right? Like I looked
yeah.
at that and I said the Knicks are going to be in that mix then of all these teams. They're going to be up in there in those possibility teams, and now they're not. I mean, like they need serious internal growth,
Yeah.
like serious internal growth if they're going to be
Or
serious. Yeah.
get rid of Julius Randle and Evan Fournier. Just trade them anywhere. Just dump them.
But then you
don't
still
tell me
need
you
the
can't.
internal growth.
Right. Yeah, right. But I'm just saying, don't tell me you can't. Don't tell me you can't trade Julius Randle. You can't trade Evan Fournier because you gave away Alec Burks. You gave away Nerlens Noel. You gave away all these. Not Taj Gibson. You gave away everybody, right? Kemba Walker. Yeah. Don't tell me you can't give these guys away when you literally did something I didn't even know was possible. Many people didn't. That you can make a trade without receiving anything in return. Excuse me. So don't tell me you can't dump these guys because you can. You just don't want to because that's your boy. It's your boy. It's the teacher's pet. There's no way that Julius Randle can get away from throwing a laptop in an assistant coach's face, can get away with kicking fans out of the arena, can get away with cursing fans out, get away with not even being in the huddle 95% of the time, doing all of that and still playing 40 minutes a night, still doing everything, still not being traded after the season. While your eighth pick in the draft is dunking it between his legs, dropping 40 at the end of the season, the crowd is chanting for him. That just doesn't make any sense. Like there's no basketball sense to it. I'm sorry. I paused and I stopped.
Well, I'm just super excited to hear what Leon Rose has to say about the trade. Not happening. Yeah. I'm looking forward to hearing that.
You want to know what Leon Rose is going to say?
What's he going to say?
That
sounds about right. No, I mean, I know. I mean, I guess if he was available in media day, they'll have us.
Come on, they'll have Bill Pito or Mike Breen sit down with him.
Well, yeah, I mean, at some point, like this
Rebecca
is the part.
Harlow, somebody like that.
Knicks fans. Yeah. Oh, we don't want the media to treat us unfair. Does anybody want answers? I mean,
this is totally warranted. And you know me, I created the Knicks for clicks hashtag. You know me, I don't want the media to make fun of the Knicks. It bothers me. The other day when CBS Sports put out that tweet randomly about had the most losses over the last whatever amount of years, totally out of context tweet, out of left field, I got legitimately angry. And like it literally pissed me off, like to the point I was texting you. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
You know, like this is no relevance at all. And it's totally out of context. Knicks in the playoffs last year. The Kings haven't been in the playoffs in like since Ron Artest.
I get you.
Like, what are we doing? You know, so but right now the Knicks deserve all the smoke, all of it.
I was surprised how many Knicks fans were celebrating the idea that, but it was the same group.
Homers.
But it was also the same group last month that were like, you know, is it 3 picks? Is it 4 picks? All of this. I think it's embarrassing that the Cavs swooped in, and I think it's a coping mechanism.
Yep.
To deal with it. Like almost if let's say he stayed on Utah, and you made the argument. Yeah. You made the argument. Oh, they did the good thing not making the deal. I don't think there'd be as many people that would be praising the front office for that. But the fact that the Cavs swooped in, made the trade when nobody believed that another team could, I think is a coping mechanism for Knicks fans to deal with. This is not like the Nets. It's a little different, but it's the same idea of another team came in and took the star when it was the Knicks to have, and they botched it.
Yeah, and don't tell me that this Donovan Mitchell trade would have been like the Melo trade. The difference is the Knicks have better young players now than they did then. They had Landry Fields, right? They had Amari Stoudemire and his expiring knees. Don't tell me. And they also did not have all their draft picks in the future because of some other trades, not even just the Melo trade, the Marbury trade. They didn't have a pick. You know what I mean? So right now, if they traded 4 picks and 2 protected or 2 swaps, whatever, they'd still have picks because of all these valuable protected picks they got on draft day. Remember that? What a masterclass by Leon Rose. We got all these protected picks. Now we could trade for anybody. What did you do? Nothing.
Use the picks. Use the picks to trade, man. So you just go get the star.
You know what's funny?
Get the star.
My buddy Randall, shout out to him. He always listens. And one of my groomsmen, a great friend of mine from when I was a kid, big Knicks fan. He texted me. He's like, now who we're going to get? I'm like, I honestly don't know. What's the next star? Who's available?
Internal growth.
But I'm serious. Like, who's available? Because nobody's going to ask for a trade to come to the Knicks when they don't have Donovan Mitchell. Who's the guy?
Yeah, no one, nobody.
Nobody. Like,
No,
who
internal
is it?
growth.
Yeah,
Needs
Luka.
internal growth. But then the other problem is, and here's the struggle, because
I'm joking with that, by the way.
no, I understand.
Yeah.
Here's the other part that is true, because the Knicks fan will go back and say, "Hey, yeah, well, we have Coach Thibodeau, so this is a problem. We're not even gonna get to play these young players." Well, that's another problem.
That's the backward situation.
Right. Then
It's
these guys aren't even playing anyway.
These kids have no value because
they don't play.
Right. You made the perfect point. I'm sorry to stomp on you. The Knicks fans overvalue these young players because they think they're really good and have a good future. And that's great to think. And I've seen the flashes too. I love Quickly. He's literally my second favorite player on the Knicks, or second or third favorite player on the Knicks. It's RJ, Mitch, and Quickly. Those are my top three by far. But they haven't showcased Quickly, Grimes, and Toppin enough because of this fucking coach that they had no value on the trade market. Danny Ainge is like, you didn't play these guys over Alec Burks and Taj Gibson. You think I'm going to trade you this? You think that's worth an unprotected pick? Like, are you nuts? Even if Ainge knows those guys are good, he's not going to do it. So, like, now we're backwards. We're in backwards land. And now everybody's going to say, well, Tibbs is going to change. He's going to start Grimes. He's going to start Toppin. No, he's not. Fournier is going to start. Fournier started 80 games last year. 8-0, 80 games. He's going to start again.
It'll be so fascinating to see the minutes. The big one will be,
dude, we're wasting another season.
The big one's going to be, it will be very interesting to see what he does with Obi and Randall. Because, I mean, let's be real. Like, rookie year, okay. Second year, what's going on? But if you're in your third year and he's getting 8 to 12 minutes, I mean, that is going to be
eighth pick in the draft.
That's going to be
this is not Ntilikina or Knox who didn't show anything. He's showing something.
Well, yeah. But he hasn't played.
Right.
Well, I mean,
and he's 37 years old.
And if he's, it's funny because it's like Knicks management. We can't trade Obi Toppin. He's too valuable. Knicks management, we're not going to play him. Wait, what?
Exactly. That's the backward shit that I've been saying. That I don't understand. Like, what are we now? That's why Julius Randle has to be traded right now. They got to trade him right now. Go send him to the Lakers for Westbrook. Give them a pick too. Just get him out of here. And then at least you buy out Westbrook, or even let him play off the bench. And you got a squad that you can, like, at least be proud of, even if you keep Fournier. Because let him stand in the corner, shoot some threes. Maybe every once in a while, once a month, he'll drop 40. You know what I mean? But like, what does Randle bring to the table?
I can't wrap my mind around. I can't wrap my mind around. These guys are too valuable to trade, but we won't play them. I don't. That doesn't make. It's one or the other. Let's deal them because we want to get a star here. If I that's the part that's kind of breaking my brain. And Knicks fans will always go back to it. Oh, this coach. Well, then if he's here, bring in the stars. So it's wasting, man.
Yeah, I got nothing else to say.
Yeah, all right. It's been bad weather fans. Emergency episode 133.
What a disrespect to the 33 number to have this episode be 133.
It's 133.
I know, but Jesus.
Yeah, man. Well,
what's next? Hopefully soon we'll be happy. At least I know I'm going to Greece soon for 2 weeks in September. And at least I know the Donovan Mitchell trade won't happen while I'm away.
No, it'll be smaller moves, I guess.
I'll miss a Jets game. I'll miss some probably big Mets series, but like I'll be following on my phone. It's not my honeymoon, so at least I'll be able to follow. But oh man, this is such a kick in the balls, and it is all because they didn't want to give up that fourth unprotected pick, and nobody can convince me otherwise. Those 4 unprotected picks, 2 protected, and then you have a completely different conversation with Ainge about players because Sexton is coming off a major knee injury and you have to pay him. Lauri Markkanen sucks. And this other guy we never heard of. So don't tell me.
Markkanen's an okay role player.
He sucks. He's okay. I mean,
he's not like, he was the 7th
Evan Fournier. Draft. I mean, it's the same guy. I mean, it's the same value. You know what I'm saying?
I get you. A little bigger, but I hear you.
Size, whatever. But if they flipped them tomorrow, would you be surprised? Because they got to trade Bogdanovich. They got to trade Clarkson. They still have to get rid of these guys.
I got excited when I saw, like, to me, that's a perfect.
The Nets got to get Clarkson or Bogdanovich, man. Those are the 2 guys right there.
Yeah. Nets have a lot of scoring guards.
Yeah.
But I'd love to get Bogdanovich and get another forward off the bench that can spread the floor and knock down some shots.
Yeah. There we go.
Super exciting.
Got some Nets
yeah.
talking.
So after all that, there it is. No, this is not a.
That's for the Nets fans. Yeah.
But after all that, I would say this. I think the Net fans want to hear from you about the Knicks.
I know.
I don't
because they're happy. They're happy. I'm pissed.
Sure.
So congratulations.
But they respect your happy. You're
Thank you. Because I'm being honest. I'm not sitting here celebrating like, oh, we didn't trade. Like when the Knicks. I swear to God, on my grandmother's grave, that I cheered when Kevin Durant signed with the Nets. Like I was excited. I was in a hotel in Montreal for a work trip and I yelled and everybody looked at me like, what are you like? Are you okay? I was in like the gym. I was just like,
Yeah.
So, but I swear that happened. Now that's not happening right now. It's not.
Hey,
anyway,
let's see what happens with the Nets. We finally though have closure for both franchises. It has happened in September. The Nets team now, Durant, Kyrie, Ben Simmons. The Knicks, RJ Barrett. Well, I guess we'll see what happens with Julius Randle and the future of the organization as we inch closer to training camps. Will we hear from Knicks brass? What are Nets? No. What is Nets brass going to say? What is Kevin Durant going to say? Both will have two interesting. We now have some interesting media days though on the Knicks side too. I'll say that if they're there, it would be interesting.
Whatever.
Bad Weather Fans, episode 100.
133. I don't give a shit about
fans. Episode 133. Thank you guys. Alex, get back to your Thursday evening and talk to you later. Oh, well, one last thing. Where did you find out about the deal?
I was walking to get a haircut and I live in the 30s. I'm not gonna give you my address, but I was walking up to the 80s to where I was gonna walk a little bit and take a cab, and then I saw the news that was like 2 blocks away, and I literally walked about 40 blocks up. I'm just sending out tweets and reading all the news as I'm walking, like that guy in the street. And then literally it flew by. The 45-minute walk flew by. It was supposed to take an hour. It took me 45 minutes. I was fuming.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what happened.
Yeah. Nobody cares where I was. I won't even tell y'all. It doesn't matter. We want to know where you were.
Nobody cares. Yeah.
This has been Bad Weather Fans, episode 133. We'll talk to you later.
Love you, Mike. Everybody.
Bye.